Hello everyone, how are you feeling today? It's Everyone here, and today I'm coming at you with my Altergeist deck profile. So, my Altergeist deck profile is finally complete with the cards that I can play for the time being, as well as I would like to guys to give me some additional suggestions in the comments down below, because I didn't have the time so much to play test with them, but I kind of put the list that I have before the around May, when I was still active, I would say, normally active. But now I'm I'm until October I'm not going to be 100% active. But let's just say this is a really fun deck, and it's pretty budget meta deck. I would not even call it a meta deck. I could call it a meta roguish deck, kind of. It is meta, but it's not the most meta deck, because it's probably the weakest one out of all the meta decks, because its dependency of traps. But you do have some capabilities to put in this deck, some kind of cards that help you go second, and we'll get into those when I'll explain the deck. But anyway, except from Impermanence, which I don't have specifically because I'm not willing to sell my kidneys for a $70 card, I pretty much have all the things that I think most people run in the deck. But without further ado, let's get started. So starting things off with the monsters, you run the three of each of the main M's of the deck. You run 3 copies of Meliseek, Marionetter, and the Multi-Faker. So the 3 amazing M's of the deck. Sorry, it's just something went on my camera. I needed to move it away. But anyway, the 3 amazing M's, probably the best one out of all of them is Marionetter. Marionetter is the one that just start everything in a sense, because when it's normal summon, it sets you a trap immediately. And it's also have the ability to pretty much send any Altergeist monster from your field to the graveyard to summon another one different name, which is kind of amazing. So you can just pretty much send your Meliseek to the graveyard to pretty much get a search, and then summon, for example, a Squantalis, which we will get to that in a moment. And then Meliseek is I would say the second to third best one. I'm not 100% sure which one of them I like more, but I think it's more important. I think it's the third best one, because Meliseek is only good, it's really good going second, as well as it's your Stratos when sent to the graveyard, so it's really amazing. But like I said, it's not as important and as Multi-Faker when you go first, because Multi-Faker, when you activate any trap, you get to special summon it from the hand, and then any Altergeist monster from your deck, which we will get to the options. If you're going second, or when you going on your turn and you want to try to finish your opponent, you probably want to summon Meliseek. But if you don't, you're probably going to run Squantalis. And probably my favorite one by art is Meliseek, as well as Meliseek has the awesome effect of attacking directly. And then if it's attacked directly, you can target a card your opponent control and send it to the graveyard, which is amazing. So if it inflicts battle damage, which it's really easy for it because it can attack directly, it can just start sending cards your opponent control. And then the last 2 Altergeist monsters I run, well, actually 3, but last 2 monster names that I run is 2 copies of Squantalis, which is the one that you want to special summon when it's during your turn, because you can just use the effect of kind of like Kareen and just bounce any other Altergeist card, and then bounce a card your opponent control. And then it also have the effect of when it's sent to the graveyard, you can get to recycle a trap. Not the most relevant effect, but still really nice, and you want to run 2 of this card, because more than that, it is a brick. And then the last one is Kankuri. Of course, Kankuri is depending on the situation. Multi-Faker is one of those cards that you can just use to your advantage to just pretty much special summon whatever you want. And Kankuri is kind of a card that just make your opponent, if your opponent attack you, you can just make that monster is unable to attack you, I believe, and then you pretty much can make that effect negated. So and you can negate an effect on the field. I don't think it has to be the particular monster. Now you can target 1 face-up card your opponent control, negate the effect of that card while this card face-up on the field. So you can just negate the attack if this card in your hand, so it's a battle trap, if you control another Altergeist card, and then it's also if you special summon it, you can also negate any card on the field, which is really cool. So that's really nice. And that's pretty much does it for the Altergeist monsters. You run 12 monsters, in my opinion, and almost everybody will tell you it's probably the best lineup. Well, I did try to run also Pixel. I felt like Pixel it's a nice kind of a Marionetter if you need to, a bad Marionetter, which I want to run at 1. But I felt like Pixel is just, I don't have enough names in the deck, like at least in my opinion, that's just worth it to me to activate Pixel Effect and just end with no monsters on the board to protect me. And then for the next monster of the deck, which is sound probably weird, I run 2 copies of Cyber Dragon. I don't run a third one because I don't have the space, and I do run a third one in the side deck, which I'm not going to show you guys because I just don't have the side deck ready. And I also run with the side deck as the Cyber Emergency just to see this card as soon as possible when I'm trying to break my opponent's board. But Cyber Dragon is pretty important because, in my opinion, if you know that you're going first, you probably don't want to have this in the deck because it's halfly do something, but because I know that I'm in game 1, I'm not 1% sure going first, I still want to have this kind of option to deal with my opponent Ibli and Nightmare combo kind of in a way, or just deal with their extra lane combo if they have anyone, or just in general, just take care of my opponent extra monster zone, just a really, really good card. And that's pretty much does it. And then for the hand trap, we run 3 copies of Effect Veiler because I still don't have Ash and I don't have access for Ash. It's probably going to be only available like next week with Valhalla. We'll see how much it's going to cost, but pretty much Effect Veiler is a really good option anyways because Effect Veiler is also a negation. But if you want to run Ash, you're more than welcome to run Ash or Draw or whatever you have. I specifically only have Effect Veiler. When I will have Ash, I probably would run 3 Ash or maybe 2 just Ash. And then the last one I'm running is 2 copies of Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, because Altergeist honestly doesn't use its extra deck, like almost never, and I felt to myself like I can use it to my advantage, put some kind of like extra deck monsters that I feel like are super important and just get rid of them before my opponent doing anything, especially when I'm going second, so that's really, really cool. So that does it for the monsters. I believe that's I would say 19 monsters with the hand trap. And now we'll move on to the spells, which is the only spell I run in the deck is triple copies of Pot of Duality. Now, Pot of Duality is probably the best spell in the deck that you can run, the only ones that you need, because you don't do any special summon in this deck, like, unless, of course, you're trying to go second and whatever, and you can side this card if you're going second or whatever, but if you're going first, this is one of your cards that you just help you to see personal spooping and everything else really super quick, so I felt to myself like 3 copies of Pot of Duality is just a must-off. Now we'll move on to the main part of the deck, which is the traps. So first and foremost, the best Altergeist trap, in my opinion, is triple copies of Personal Spooping. Personal Spooping is so amazing because it just helps you trigger up multi-faker effects super easily, get you the cards that you need from your deck to your hand, and just shuffle any useless ones, so it can help you also dodge removal if your opponent like activates a Dark Hole or a Regeki or something, so you can just pretty much shuffle it, get a multi-faker effect will trigger immediately because it's just like a Diablos and like an Astrograph card, so you get to just special summon it and just special summon whatever you want, so that's really, really cool and really, really convenient. 2 copies of Protocol, because Protocol is a protection to your Altergeist monsters. I don't believe you need more than 2 Protocol, because it is searchable with Spooping if you don't see its first turn, searchable with Marionetter, and also searchable with Port of Duality if you're not seeing it. So in my opinion, 2 is the perfect ratio. And then the last one is 2 copies of Manifestation. Now, not personal Spooping. Protocol, if you want to, you more than welcome to run a 3rd, but Manifestation I pretty much not recommend to run a 3rd because it just not recommend because like you have the ability to recycle it and you don't really need a 3rd one. And that's pretty much does it to the Altergeist traps. Now we'll move on to the generic traps. So for the first generic trap I run in the deck, which is in my opinion an amazing trap, is that I run 3 copies of Mind Crush. Every deck today searches. Every deck searches. So I found to myself like, yeah, this is a really, really good way to just make my opponent discard exactly the card that they add to their hand. Like, let's just say they add to their hand cards with the effect of, what are called? Mobilize Engage, for example. You can just pretty much stop that stop that drones, get just that drones out of your opponent's hand, or anything that you wish. It's just a really, really good card, and in my opinion, 3, because I don't have any other best trap other than this one, is a must-off. So for budget players, it's just a good option. Next up, 2 copies of Anti-Spell. I don't think you need a third again. If you're really going against a heavy spell deck, you might want one more, but for me specifically, it didn't feel that I want to run a third one because I just see this card enough in my eyes. Next up, for a trap that a lot of people are not going to expect, because I sometimes find it that my opponents stop me when I'm trying to go, or my opponent trying to activate against me some traps just stop me from doing anything. So I decided to run the same traps that they're using against me, and that's right, I run 3 copies of Red Reboot. I run 3 copies of Red Reboot because I want to use this card against another Red Reboot. Now, if you don't want to run 3 Red Reboot and you think like you want to run something else, you can also run 1 Judgment. But I felt to myself like Altergeist is such a weak deck against like Red Reboot and any other cards that just particularly stop you if your opponent just trying to go off, if you're going second, or even if you're going when you're going second and trying to break your board. It's just a good way to deal with that and just make 100% sure that your traps and your disruptions and everything will just go off. So I felt like 3 copies of Red Reboot is just a really nice card. And what's really good about this card is that you could negate a trap with this, so you can negate another Red Reboot, and you can just pretty much use this from your hand, so you don't have to set it on the field if you're also afraid of MSTs. Next, the card that make a lot of people afraid, because this card is just super amazing, and because, 3 copies of Waking the Dragon is just a card that make a lot of people afraid, because trap decks now become a little bit more frightening for the idea that if you pop this card or banish this card, your opponent is getting a card out of the extra deck, which can be super devastating to you, and I have 3 to 4 options that could be super devastating to your opponent, and just amazing card in my opinion. Of course, if you don't, oh sorry guys, I moved the camera, but of course if you guys don't want to run any of those 11 traps, you're more than welcome to play any ones that you wish. I just feel like those are really good. If you do want to run anything else, you feel like Red Reboot is a bad option and you don't want to run 3 of it, or you feel like Cyber Dragon is not an option, or just anything like that, you're more than welcome to change the deck. But I'm just trying to help you guys as much as I can with the cards that I have and try to be the most budget as possible. So that pretty much does it for the main deck. Now we'll move on to the extra deck. So first off, for the extra deck, we run 1 copy of Prime Banshee. Again, a card that you can cut down if you don't feel like it. I just like the 1 off because it's just the main boss monster of the deck. It has an effect as a quick effect to just tribute any Altergeist monster, special summon any Altergeist monster from your deck. Could be really useful. Kind of situational, but really useful. And when it dies, you can recycle an Altergeist card. Next up, the real boss monster of the deck, which is 2 copies of Hextia. Well, at the start I thought I need a third one. I just felt like in every single game I don't go to more than a second one, and I can always recycle it with the effect of a manifestation or any other card that just pretty much can special summon it. So Hextia is just your spell and trap negator by tributing the monster next to its link, getting an attack next to its for the monsters that next to its link, which is an Altergeist monster of course, and then it can also when it dies, it search for you an Altergeist card, so that's really cool. And then the last one is Altergeist Kidolga, I believe. She's not the best one in the world. Again, just another name that I just sometimes like to mess with, because it's really good going second, I guess, but not the best because it has so much low attack. Because it's like a Snatch Steal monster when your Altergeist monster attacks, but the monsters that you snatch steal you cannot attack after this unless this one attacks, and the problem is it only have 1,000 attacks, so it's kind of a mediocre. Again, you can run like the ones that you must have is Hextia, but those 2 you can just cut down for whatever you wish, but I just felt like having the option for all of them is pretty good. And then the next number of monsters that you run for the Link monsters, I run 1 copy of Klira and Rushka, the whatever they are, and this is supposed to be a Linkaribo. Unfortunately, I didn't pick up Linkaribo yet, so this is supposed to be a Linkaribo for your Melisik. So when you use it for Melisik, you get a search and you get a Linkaribo, which is really cool. 1 copy of Cerberus and 1 copy of Phoenix to deal with spells and traps. Pretty generic. And then for the rest of the extra deck, I run 1 copy of Cybertech Mega Fleet because it's just for the Cyber Dragon. 1 Exterio for the Waking the Dragon. one copy of Super Heavy Samurai Steam Train King, which is also an amazing card for Awaken the Dragon, because this card, if it survives, it's such an amazing card for time, because this guy, when he dies, not when he dies, when he attacks, he uses 4800 attack, which is amazing. And then also he can burn your opponent for 200 damage for each spell and trap in each player's graveyard, and then you banish all of them, so it can be really amazing in time. And in my opinion, just a nice one-off. It's not amazing, but just a nice one-off. And then one totally awesome, sometimes you don't want to go to the exterior and you want to steal a card from your opponent or negate the monster effect, so totally awesome is just a good option. You can always put like Crystal Wing or whatever, but it's just the ones that I decide to go with. And then for your Ghost Reaper targets, I run one Firewall, because Firewall is just way too broken and you want to get rid of it from your opponent extra deck immediately. Just the ones that fuel every single Goki combo, so you want to get rid of it. One Double Helix against Spirals to stop their combo. One copy of Goblin, because some kind of decks also depending on discard way too much. And one copy of Kagari against the Sky Strikers. And that's pretty much does it for the extra deck, and that does it for the deck profile. So, hope you guys enjoy. It's pretty much a fun deck. I'm not 100% sure if it's 100 complete or the best version there is, but I did try my best, of course, and hope you guys enjoyed it. And nevertheless, anyway, see you guys next time. Remember, creativity is the key in this game. Also, click on the bell icon if you want to keep being notified. If you like the channel, also subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time, and have a good day, guys, and stay safe.